Brad, why do smart, rational people suddenly make irrational financial decisions during periods of market stress?
Ah, it's a fabulous question and something I've thought a lot about. As you've mentioned, I'm into 10 books at this point, lots of studies on this stuff, essentially to try to figure out why do I do such dumb things when it comes to money. And I think I've nailed it down to understanding it as if we are a bunch of cave men and women and we are in a tribal society. We're afraid of everything. We're hunter gatherers, tribe of 100 to 150 people. And I think it kind of explains most of the reasons why we screw up when it comes to money. So, just as a quick example, let's say we're all sitting around the fire, 150 of us, as I said, constant threats all around. All of a sudden, everybody gets up and runs west, and you're sitting there eating your turkey leg. What are you going to do? Well, I'll tell you what your ancestors did. They got up and they ran west with everyone else. The people who didn't go on to produce offspring sat there and just got picked off by a predator. So when it comes to like panic selling or getting really excited around the latest crypto scheme or whatever, get rich quick scheme, we're just wired to do it absolutely all wrong because that brain has not evolved to deal with modern financial life. And we're still stuck in the Stone Age when it comes to our reactions to pretty much everything. And by the way, that's just one example of how that plays out. That metaphor will really help us understand pretty much all financial behaviors.
Was there a moment early in your career when you realized that financial behavior had more to do with psychology and emotional conditioning than, say, financial literacy?
Yes. And I've done studies on increasing people's financial literacy, and I've done studies on looking at the psychological aspects. And for example, we did a study where we did it in 5 different cities across the country, where we gave half the people a financial educational seminar, teaching them how to save and the appropriate ways to do it, and the saving vehicles and healthy financial ratios, all the stuff you learned in preparing to become a financial advisor. In the other room, we had people identify their money scripts, which you've just talked about. We had people come up with a positive vision of an exciting future, really sort of trying to harness this cave person brain and target it in the direction that is in our best interest versus it working against us. So in that, we had no financial literacy training at all, basically. It was just trying to increase people's psychological motivation to identify these goals and being willing to sacrifice in the here and now. That's not the way our brains are designed. For example, in our cave person brain, there is no saving for the future because the future is absolutely uncertain. It helps explain why we overeat, because when we are around a bunch of calories, easy calories, salt, fat, sugar, we consume as much as possible. This is how we're wired. And I know you know what I'm talking about, everybody who's listening. You have to overcome that. You have to overcome that natural wiring or you're going to end up obese. And it's one of the challenges of modern society where we have all these available calories where we're just prone to overeat. And so it's that psychological wiring to consume now that keeps us from preparing for the future. So to go back to your question, in that study where we had people take that financial education seminar, we saw a 22% increase in savings after an hour. And don't get me wrong, that's fabulous. 22%, that's unbelievable. In the psychology group, which was an hour where we had people thinking about their motivations and their money scripts, we saw a 76% increase in savings. And what I've discovered over time is that most of our financial problems in the United States come from two things. Number one, people aren't saving for the future. And number two, people are spending more than they make. And I have yet to find somebody who doesn't already know what they should be doing. So everybody already knows they should be saving for the future. Everyone already knows they shouldn't be spending more than they make. Yet these are the two biggest problems we have in the richest country in the world, in all of human history. And so I don't think it really comes down to education, although education is really important. I'm a professor, I'm not trying to disparage education, but when it comes to actual motivation, actual behavioral change, I think it's much more psychological.
Well, we're facing a multi-billion-dollar marketing industry trying to sell us stuff, right? We're being sent marketing messages all the time. we also have technology that's making it easier and easier to make a one-click purchase, and then suddenly things show up at my door, maybe later today or tomorrow. So shopping's becoming easier. You talk about the importance of interrupting emotional reactions before they become financial mistakes. So what are some of the practical tools investors can use in real time when, say, fear starts taking over?
I love it. So the first concept is essentially understanding that you cannot trust your instincts at all when it comes to investing. You are wired to do everything absolutely wrong. And there have been studies that have found that dead investors outperform living investors. I mean, that's how bad you are at it. And what I mean by that is where they look at accounts where the account owner happened to be deceased, they outperform accounts where people are alive, because when you're alive, you're paying attention to the markets, the latest fear, this, and it happens all the time. Oh my goodness. And it's always, I call it, it's bubble babble on the one side where it's like, oh, the market will never go down and I got to get in and things have changed. Everything's different. Everything has changed. By the way, nothing has changed. Everything has changed. I have to respond in a different way. Well, the market's always recovered and gone up, but not this time. This time it's the end of the world. This time everything's different. And I've been alive long enough now to see it play out in real time. And when you study history, this is exactly what happens time after time after time, is we think this, but this time it's different, whether that's fear or whether that's on the greed side, which I think is really fear of missing out, frankly, where we feel like everyone else is making a bunch of money and we're not. And so I feel like it will continue to happen. It's been happening all throughout history, throughout recorded history. There's been bubbles and crashes, and it all comes down to the same human psychology, that fear of missing out, that fear that I'm going to be left behind, which to your brain is a life and death matter. That's the part that doesn't fit with current investing. So you're going to respond to a market dip or a market run up in the same way. Your brain's going to respond to it in the same way as if there's a predator chasing you and you're running for your life.
Okay, so this time is not different. We're going to go to segment 2.